This woman is proof that you do not need to choose between being a successful person and having a family. You can have it all. My guest today on The Wealthy Acre is Mylyne Santos. She is an incredible mom of 3 boys, a very successful businesswoman, and a loving wife to her high school sweetheart, Rob. Mylyne immigrated from the Philippines at 11 years old. She was raised by a single mom and has 1 brother. She has worked extremely hard and persevered through many challenges to be the success that she is today. Started her real estate journey in 2003 as Rookie of the Year. She has been and is an avid investor, working closely with professionals such as mortgage brokers and insurance advisors to give her clients the holistic approach to everything money and investment related. She runs a team of 6 professionals and administrative assistant and has been the top of her game on a regular basis. She is involved in her kids' education, sports activities, vacationing as a family, and of course, very involved in her business as a realtor. I know I have always wanted to know how she does it all. She has always been such an inspiration to me, and I know that I have learned so much from her as a friend and as a professional, and I hope you get a lot of value from having her here today. Mylyne, thank you so much for being here on my podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you met Rob. I know you guys were high school sweethearts, and you made it from Winnipeg to beautiful British Columbia.
The best part of this whole story is the fact that I married Rob, my high school sweetheart, and he's been the backbone of my success. He always refers to I wear the pants and he wears the underwear, referring to the support that he provides. So that alone is unique in its own way. The fact that I have a very strong support system at home makes my life so much easier in terms of focusing on my career. Where do I even start? I mean, let's even rewind until it's 1989. I was 11 years old when I immigrated to Canada, straight to Winnipeg, and very big culture shock. I went from a very hot climate to Winterpeg.
Yes.
Winterpeg. It was very, very different, and we survived through it all with, having a single mom and having a little brother. Then we have a 12-year gap, so helping my mom raise my brother. And after high school, we then moved to Vancouver.
What brought you to Vancouver?
It's just a new lifestyle. My mom, actually, I did not want to move to Vancouver. My mom just wanted a new change, and at that time, I was already dating Rob. So, leaving your friends when you're a teenager and leaving your sweetheart, it was very tough. We were spending all our savings towards long distance charges because there were no plans then. We didn't even have cell phones then.
That's right.
We had pagers and we had 30 cents per minute calls.
My goodness, that was a little while ago. So Rob was still in Winnipeg because you guys were young when you moved here, right? Like, how old were you when you moved?
I was 18. I just turned 18.
18. So you were still like in high school and so forth, and Rob was still in Winnipeg. So when did Rob actually move to British Columbia?
2 years later, I made sure that he was finished college before moving out here. And same thing, right when I moved to BC, I also had to make sure that I finished some sort of school. And then, we both got into IT. He was more in networking, I was more in hardware. And I eventually branched out to project management. And from there, during the Y2K time, it was very easy to get a job when you're technical, right? So then I got my certifications with Microsoft and hardware, and I really enjoyed it a lot then. Income was great when you're early 20s. I think I was almost at 6-figure income when I was like 20 years old. So the banks were having a blast providing us approvals on how to purchase properties. Rob ended up working for the government in IT as well.
Amazing. Thank you for touching on that. You guys bought properties in your early 20s.
Yes.
So that's when your kind of real estate interest and buying properties and investment properties came about.
As cliche as this sounds, that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, was really the first trigger of when we decided that, we're going to follow this. We're going to invest in properties. And we didn't have any money then. Rob and I actually started off with selling cookware. So I would do
Wow.
the presentation and we'll cook together. He would be my dishwasher. As he's washing, I'm closing the deal. And then we saved our first down payment selling pots and pans.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
that's
so
really,
cool.
yeah. And we still have the same set of cookware.
So this
Yeah.
is just such an incredible story of hard work, and you guys been doing this together for a long time.
Yeah, we were early 20s. It was, I would say the first property we bought together was 2001. It was a $70,000 condo.
You can't even imagine $70,000 condo right now.
Yeah, right in Burquitlam area, and I think we owned it for about a year. Then we sold it for 120 a year after, year and a half after.
So you guys were doing the whole buying. Did you fix it up and sell it, or did you just wait for the
Yeah,
market? You had faith in the market.
we fixed it up at that time because of the high income that we had. So, well, at that time it was called high. It was easier to get approved for a mortgage. So then we were buying a few properties a year. We would fix them, rent them out, or fix them and flip them. There was no flipping tax. There was no debt ratio. No, there were not much restrictions then.
It was easier back then because banks weren't talking to each other also. So things were a
Oh,
little
right.
bit different, right?
Yeah, credit union debts wouldn't show up on your credit checks. So then if we had mortgages with different credit unions, we can have multiple mortgages and the banks wouldn't know about it.
Brilliant,
So it
brilliant.
was legit. It wasn't cheating the system, but that's really how it was then.
Wonderful. And you guys made it work. So I love that. So
Hmm.
you did property investments, you sold cookware, whatever it took to get into real estate. I love that. And how did you become a realtor, and Rob as well? So it seems like you guys have kind of ventured into working together and doing these ventures together as a couple, which is absolutely beautiful.
It was the fun part about this is when our friends were still in their clubbing phase, we were fixing floors, painting, replacing toilets, but we would still try to have fun with them. But we were really doing a full-time job and another job with the renovations. And then we would have moving party or painting party with the friends and we'd invite them over for pizza and beers. That only lasted like a year. After that, they were tired of it. They caught on. They caught on.
Not enough
So
pizza and beers.
yeah, yeah, they caught on, and then there was one year where a realtor earned, I think, over 50,000 in commissions from all the properties that we sold and bought. And I thought to myself, you know what? What if I just become a realtor, and I don't have to pay that much commission, and I'll have first dibs on these properties that hit the market. So that was my thought process then. So then I got my license in 2003, became a realtor, but as a realtor, you have to disclose what your intentions are when you're buying. So by the time you disclose to them that you're a realtor and then you're flipping, the sellers don't want to give you a deal,
It became
right? So
harder.
then, yeah, and my first year of real estate was very, very busy. I've been fortunate enough that I was able to really close 52 ends, 53 ends on my first year. So I never really had the time to flip a property or to buy and sell.
You were very busy doing real estate. Yes. And you got Rookie of the Year in your first year.
For Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, yes, I did.
Incredible. And was Rob licensed around the same time, or did he come in getting licensed afterwards? Didn't he get
No,
licensed
no.
as a home
He
inspector
was
for a
he
little?
was still in IT. He actually did not get licensed as a realtor until 2010. He was a home inspector briefly for 2009, 2007. At that time, there was really no licensing required to be an inspector. He just had to take the course and, get some experience, and off he went. But I found that he had to work with other agents because it would have been a conflict to work with me.
That's
So
right.
I suggested that he just got his real estate license, and we tag teamed then. So 2010, he became a licensed agent, and he
Amazing.
still is.
Yes, yes, he is. So you and Rob working in real estate together. Now, you guys been working together for a long time, of course. Do you ever want to just kill him? Like just kill him because you guys work together, you live together, you have kids together. How does that work in a partner relationship and still in business?
Yeah, the best part of this, I mean, I can't remember the time that I really wanted to like hang him. We work really well together because we have our own lanes. So with Rob, he likes to be the back end. So even though he does a lot, he I take a lot of the credit. So if you can hear this right now, really he really is the backbone of the success. It's different because he has his own admin stuff that he's got to deal with. He loves dealing with buyers. Buyers love him, and I deal mainly with listings and more on the leadership side. So no, there hasn't been too many times that we had to hang each other or
That's
kill each other,
amazing.
but for the most part, it's been good.
That's so wonderful, and it's so great that you guys make a good team. And I love how you say you stay in your own lanes. So you have figured out a system, and you kind of work within that system to support each other.
Yeah. It hasn't always been that way, but we learn as you go. There's no such thing as perfect, right? But at the same time, it's when they say about balance, you balance your work life. There's no such thing as balance, right? It's the whole harmony. I mean, whoever says it's all about balancing, there's no such thing. It's about ensuring that there's some sort of harmony,
I love that.
right? So,
So let's talk about that because, yes, we like to have work life balance, but I think you are the best example because you have three kids. You are actively involved in their sports. You guys take vacations as a family. You are, I think, a super businesswoman. You are successful. You do all these things so well. So I know there's no balance. Is it more about scheduling? Like how do you manage all of that?
scheduling and prioritizing, I say, would be the number one secret to this whole thing. I prioritize any family events, birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, my kids' games. I mean, you can talk to any of my kids and they're gonna say my mom never missed a game. And if I did, it'd be partial or there's a reason why, or I'm streaming. So I can proudly say that none of my children will ever feel that I was not there for them. So then I just work around it. The good thing is my work schedule is flexible enough that I can schedule accordingly. So the kids come first. Right? Last year alone, I was away for 6 months. Right? It was a unique year because my 11-year-old then went to World Series in baseball, but 6 months out of the year and still running the business, I thought went really well.
And you have a phenomenal team as well, which I'm assuming helps, and you can rely on them for real estate work and really anything. Do you have a cleaner? You have an assistant? Like there's stuff you have to have support on, right? You can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do that much.
It's not a one-man shop at all. There's a lot of people in the back end that ensures that the wheels are still rolling.
So do you find that you rely on your team a fair bit, or do you work on your vacations, for example?
I'm workaholic regardless. If I choose to work, not because I have to work. I choose to. Sometimes I do, especially for my clients, I do want them to talk to me directly. Like all my listings, I prefer that they contact me or any live client. So whether I'm away or not, they're still contacting me as my preference. I don't have to because my team is diverse enough and experienced enough to handle the business, but I still prefer like yourself. You're very on top of things, so you just want to make sure that the clients are taken care of yourself.
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah,
love making sure they're good and making sure they're happy and being connected with them. I think that's the value that I love to give them and stuff. And I know you're like that too, very customer oriented.
yeah. I don't want to be a big team where the clients are not talking to me directly, right? I still want to be the front of the business, and that's really how I want this business to continue. I don't want to be number one. I don't want to be a huge team. I want to be the one catering to the clients.
I heard this quote, or it was from a book that I was reading on Audible. It was about real estate, and it was about it's not how much business you do, it's how you do your business. And that's exactly what you just said. It is about how you do your business, how you connect with your clients, and how you're there for them so they feel supported.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to go back to your children and your family because I know you have three boys. How old are they now?
12, 16, and 18.
Oh my goodness, they grow so fast. And how do they see you as a mom? I know you're very involved in their life and their schooling and sports, but also as a businesswoman, as a successful business professional. How do they see you in that light, or they just see you as mom?
They see mama's boss mom. But at the same time, I could be good friends with them. I have great communications with the kids. They can talk to me about anything. They can talk to me about girls. They can talk to me about challenges. successes. I mean, any success, I get calls like, "Mom, guess what I did today?" So I love that. That's really why I'm breathing right now, right? Like it's so as far as a success, I always tell the kids that your success is not about how much money you earn or what status you have, but your success is determined on how happy you are and how satisfied you are with your day to day. So you take it one day at a time, but ensure that you're staying on track according to your goals. So what helps is all these self-help books that we read together or that I've read myself, and I educate them with what I've learned over the years. So and what's the beauty of that is sometimes I hear it back from them. Like things like, them waking up and saying, "I'm excited, Mom, I'm excited." And Mondays, they know the house has to be super clean and they're starting the week strong. So I'm glad they're living it now. They're starting to.
That is
And
so amazing. That's beautiful.
yeah, I enjoy seeing them grow, and we're still growing together, right? Like, we recently bought an investment property in Arizona, and during the Christmas holidays, we were all renovating that home. The two boys were building kitchen cabinets. One was building entertainment system. So one was painting. So we all did that together, and the place. I mean, obviously, my husband did 80% of the work, but it's been completed, gutted, and ready to Airbnb in less than 2 months.
That's incredible. You guys are a powerhouse as a family, and I love that. And I love seeing the boys grow. And I know what gives you, and you can touch on that a little bit, but I know that with the boys, like what gives you so much joy and unwinding and starting your day is like when your youngest plays the piano for you or when they cuddle with you. And I know you always go back to that, and that's that just remembering why you work so hard.
Yeah. I wake up, I have my coffee. My little one is playing the piano. Um, they're still very cuddly. My 18-year-old still puts his arm around me every time we walk to the mall. So there's no shame. I mean, the little one still holds my hand.
That's so beautiful.
And sometimes we wake up and he's in the middle of our bed. I love it. I love all that stuff.
I think that's your success story right there. You know, real estate is amazing and it's a secondary thing, but I think that's your success story.
Thank you.
All right, so now back to work. You have been previously licensed and very active as a mortgage professional and also a insurance advisor. And you initially got that license because, from my understanding, is it worked really well with real estate. How did that work together, and how does it still work for you to be able to give clients the best service in all aspects of their financial goals?
Well, in 2010, that's when I got my mortgage broker license. And the reason I studied for that is because when we were investing heavily in real estate, I did a lot of mistakes. I would put in a 5-year lock-in rate, and I wouldn't account the fact that there's a big penalty when you're in a fixed rate. I didn't know the difference between fixed rate and variable and what the ramifications were. So I learned about a lot about that, and I didn't know about you can negotiate with different lenders on your rates and renewals and whatnot, or leveraging and lines of credits. Nobody taught me that. So every time the bank was just happy to just collect the penalties from me. So that's when I got my mortgage broker license, because I wanted to learn. I wanted to really educate. That helped a lot because then I knew better. Then I would be able to advise the clients that, you know what, if this is just short term, let's just go variable as opposed to fixed rates. I wanted to do that because I wanted them to learn from my mistakes. Because when I calculated all the mistakes for the first 7 years of our real estate investments, we threw away over $50,000
Wow.
of just things that I should have been advised, and nobody really cared to advise me accordingly then. And then the other thing too is, fast forward to 7 years later, same thing. I had clients that were calling me because there was sickness in the family or death in the family, and I've helped clients build their real estate portfolio, and then they had to sell because they didn't have the proper peace of mind or foundation to protect their assets. So in 2017, I studied and I got my life insurance license and to help educate. So these extra licenses that I had was never about earning more money, but rather it was to help educate the clients and not have them go through the mistakes that I have gone through. I
Yeah.
love it because then when I sit down with a client, now I feel that, okay, you need to talk to me, because then I have this knowledge that I can help you, that, if you're talking to me about selling your home, I would say 30% of the time discourage them from selling, or I discourage them from the initial idea because I have option A, B, and C because of the knowledge that I've learned over the years.
It's amazing because you can offer so much to your clients in just a bigger scale. And that is such added value that it's just beyond what most realtors can offer.
So, I mean, I'll give you an example. If somebody wanted to sell a house because they've accumulated, 80,000 in debts, whether it's another car that they've acquired or a student loan or education for one of the kids, I basically tell them that, if you refinance this is how much equity you would have earned on the home. This is the interest that you have. You don't need to sell your home. Are you sure you still want to do that? Or we can leverage and even take a bigger line of credit, put it on an investment property, and then the cash flow we would get from that, we can, put towards the debt. So there are so many different strategies depending on the client's situation. And I love that because then I was comfortable enough to give them those options.
That's fantastic. I know the podcast is like super new, but I actually have a question from one of my listeners that I thought I would direct to you. She asked me if my favorite client is either a seller or a buyer. And for me, it was a hard one to answer, but I figure I would pass on that to you and see what you thought.
Yeah, I guess it's a tricky question because there's your favorite seller and there's your favorite buyer as well. With sellers, I take it a few steps back, as I mentioned earlier, where I'd like to know why they're selling, right? Because if they're selling because they're financially strapped and that's their only option, then I'd like to see if there are further options that they weren't aware of. If they were selling to obtain another goal, such as downsize or upgrade, I like that. I like those kind of sellers. But just selling because they're stuck, it kind of makes you feel heavy. That because I'm all about acquiring real estate. So when I'm letting a client let go of their prized possession, I feel like I owe it to them to give them an option on what would be the bigger picture after this. What advantage will they get from selling? And so there's got to be a win-win. I'm not about just listing for the sake of listing and gaining commission from it. But there's always that end goal. So there's never a listing that I took that didn't take the time to understand on what they're trying to accomplish. That's always been very important to me. And then the perfect buyer is really the ones that don't know nothing. I love the buyers where they ask all the questions because then you feel so useful. You feel like you've really delivered. So I like that.
Yeah, the hand holding, the first time home buyers, right?
First time home buyers.
Yeah.
I'm now a multi-million-dollar realtor just because where I'm located and as far as my target market, it's a lot of work working with first time home buyers, but at the same time, it's so fulfilling. And that's when I love my job the most, when they have tears in their eyes as you give their first key to their home.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
I love that. And like the only thing I could say to this client of mine is it's like picking your favorite child. It's you love them both, but in a very different way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can't choose one or the other.
So, of course, as realtors, we have to be part of a brokerage. You've been in real estate a long time and you've been through a few brokerages. What are the key aspects of being part of a good brokerage? What is the most important thing in picking a brokerage for yourself?
I mean, it's also time testing, right? Because I've been through, I would say, from Sutton to Remax to Coldwell to Keller Williams, and all of them would be happy to receive me back, to have me come back to them. So I've left all in good terms. The difference with that is I wanted to make sure for myself that I was continuing to grow. First thing is pick an office where you know you will grow. You'll have full support. To me, it's important to have a good manager and broker and the trainings that they offer. Right. So then sometimes it changes. Sometimes you're in a brokerage for a few years and it's the same thing over and over again and you need that challenge. And sometimes it's just a new atmosphere. So it really depends. But my suggestion to anybody looking for a brokerage is to really interview and talk to the agents that are successful within the office and really get the pros and cons. There's no such thing as wrong or right for the brokerage out there. Everybody offers really good advantages and options out there, but at the same time, it's you as a realtor who's going to pick what's right for you. Consider it like buying a home. It's where your heart feels at ease and comfortable.
Absolutely. And you and I met well over 10 years ago at Keller Williams. And the reason and I believe you as well, went to Keller Williams because for their education at the time. And it was just so powerful. And they were so involved in our growth as professionals and so forth. And I know I got a lot of value. But then when you learned kind of what you could learn from there, then we stepped into going to Stonehouse and we got a lot of value from there and we're still there. So that's incredible. And it is about the support and the culture, working with the other realtors and being able to support each other if we have questions or anything like that, right?
Yeah. And right now, I mean, same thing with our current office right now. You talk to any agent for any challenges or for any questions you may have. I always feel that I have the proper support system in that office. And so that's why we're both still there.
Yeah, that's been really good. And I love that we still, even though we're at a distance, we still get to kind of work together. So that's fantastic. Now, what is the most consistent thing that you've been doing to create such success in your real estate career?
I would say my client appreciation. I've held the biggest Easter egg hunt or Easter festival in the Lower Mainland in general for the first 10 years until COVID hit.
Yes, I
So, I
remember
mean,
that.
right? So it's, we were up to one point, we would have 200 families. So reaching over 400 people in one event. We would have 5,000 eggs stuffed for the events, and I'll have different carnival games, on the side events, just because there's just so many kids, right? So I really enjoy that. It's been very exhausting. Every event, I'd get sick after the fact, just because it's we poured all our physical labor into it, and just organizing it was a huge deal with over 40 volunteers just for that one 3 hour event. And then the touching clients, I'm not big on big gifts, for example, and paying referrals, because I want to make sure that I'm referred to different clients because of my services. But I do a lot of touches from, doing events and seeing them on Mother's Day and providing flowers to all our mom clients. Just in general, I like to be involved out there. So I give a lot to the community. So any events that I can sponsor, I would give back. I have a new craziness.
Yes.
I got to share you this vision,
Okay.
because you know how, we're a huge sports family. I play all the sports, but this new one that I'm crazy about is pickleball. And
Oh
I've
my
only been
goodness.
playing.
It's crazy how many people are obsessed about pickleball. Honestly, I have to confess, I had to Google it yesterday because I wasn't fully informed on what it was. Like I had an idea, but yesterday I had to watch a YouTube video because I just had no idea. And it's insane. It's like the fastest growing sport in America. Like
It
what the
is.
heck? I didn't realize that. So okay, sorry to interrupt. Tell me more.
Well, I got to tell you this new craziness that I have, because you know how I never like to be average. I never tell my kids good, never use good, never use but. Good is not good enough. So when I ask them, how's your day, they will never say good, because they know that I will I will give them a lecture about it. So on my birthday, so 3 weeks ago was my birthday. All I wanted to do with my friends is play pickleball. So then they arranged to have a private pickleball party. I knew nothing about it. I never held a paddle, and I loved it. I
But
loved it.
but you play table tennis, right? So it's
I
kind
played
of like
I
that.
played tennis and badminton growing up, and I was city champ for badminton in '96. So I'm giving my age away. Um, and then what happened is, a week later, I I hired a coach. I hired a private coach, because you're talking to me, who does not want to be average. And if I'm going to learn this sport, if I'm going to love this sport, I want to be good at it.
You're gonna go all
So
in.
I, so my goal is to become a pro by the time I'm senior. When there's ever a, when if there's ever a senior tour, I want to be in that tournament.
Oh, I love that. You're already
Yeah,
planning ahead.
I'm planning my retirement sport.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, are you planning to retire and when? Like, I mean, you've built an incredible investment portfolio and probably jumping the questions right now because you started this, but you've
Yeah.
built an incredible investment portfolio. You've built a very successful business. What does your succession and retirement plan look like? Obviously, pickleball.
Pickleball, golf. I would love to sit at a baseball game all day long. I love being in a ballpark. A retirement plan is such a tricky question for me, because are you retiring because of money? Are you retiring because you're tired? Because if you're gonna ask me every if you're gonna ask me specifically on what it means, it's gonna have different answers. Because given the investments that we have, yes, we can comfortably retire now. But at the same time, we also have a little boy that's still in grade seven. So it doesn't make sense for us to retire when we still have to bring him to school till he's grade 12. So technically, and I love what I do that I can't fully leave what I do, right? So to answer your question, I'm kind of working towards it. I could work, I could not work. So really, if I'm working, it's because I love what it is, and it's not because I need you to pay me commission so I can live. So two
Yeah.
different things. Yeah. So realistically, we can retire now. Comfortably, we can retire now. But at the same time, I don't know what I'd do to myself. I mean, unless I can afford to play pickleball for 8 hours a day. But at this point, I think it's a matter of the success is about how you're going to touch as many people and how you're going to make a difference in their lives. So I'm at the point where I'm ready to share what I know. I'm ready to really have anybody pick my brain on how I can help with their success.
That's why we have you on here.
I was wondering I mean, I'm trying to give you a value here, and I'm like, there's nothing special.
No, there is, because you have really, I mean, when women, especially, when they have to choose between a career or a family, or they have to choose between being successful and working hard and having children or vacations or a great marriage, you are the prime example and proof that we as women can have it all, and we should be able to. And it's a matter of just going all in, prioritizing and living the dream and doing what we can. Absolutely. And I love that you're on here with me, because there's just so much that you have to offer. I'm learning. I'm taking notes as we speak, because I'm learning from you, because you have so much to offer and you're so wise for your young age. And I appreciate that you're here. And this is one way that you can share that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So your client value appreciation parties and events, and how you touch your clients and how you are available to them, which instilled a massively successful referral business for you. And I know that a long time ago you went through the Buffini program. Is there anything else that stands out for you to create that referral business that you are generating on a regular? What else do you attribute to your success and having the referral business that you do now?
I would say the sponsorships of different events. Last year alone, we've sponsored over, I would say, 10 events that are outdoors and probably 3 or 4 different sporting events. The reason for that is, again, the whole work-life balance, so to speak, where I don't want to be known just as real estate, real estate, real estate. I want to be able to be out there with the things that I love to do. So any sport that I like, I mean, I like to hold volleyball tournaments. I love to be at the ballpark. So anything to do with what we're already doing as a family, I get to give back out there. For example, my newest craziness, my goal this year is to hold a league, a pickleball league that's anywhere from beginner to intermediate, just to introduce that sport. And I don't plan on making money off that, but it's just a matter of really being out there. I don't even talk about real estate. They know what I do. They know to what capacity I can provide as far as services, but at the same time, just being there. So the uniqueness of it is, rather than me contacting them for appointments, for if you want to buy or sell a home, contact me. I'm just there for them. But there's always a conversation. Hey, there's an interest rate going up, or there's an interest rate announcement. What do you think the market's going to do? So I get those questions already regardless, but at least it's in a setting where they're comfortable, as opposed to, me contacting them where they're in the middle of something. So different approach. I'm very lax. I mean, I want them to come to me rather than me poking at them, proving at them, and trying to get business out of it.
Absolutely. And you're doing it so well. So whatever you're doing, keep going. And I'm looking forward to hearing about your pickleball league.
Just watch out. That's the goal. That's the goal.
That's awesome.
And I'll have a fundraising event this year as well. I already have 3 pickleball nets that I purchased. I'm going for 7 more.
Of course, you're going to go all in.
All in? Exactly.
Love
There's
it.
never mediocre. Don't like being average. I tell my kids, don't be average. There's no ceiling.
There isn't. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, just keep going, do your best, and don't settle for average. That's my takeaway here today. That's for sure.
Talking about not being average. So when one of the kids show passion about something, for example, baseball, if I know that they really love it and they want to get better, I hire them a coach. I would get personal training. And then to the point where we built a batting cage in our backyard. I bought a pitching machine because I got tired of pitching to the kids, or my arm actually gave. I had to start getting steroid shots because I just couldn't keep up pitching with the kids. And it's not their dad they asked to practice with them, it's their mom. I make it a game with the kids. I make it a competition. I use numbers. I use average to keep track of their success, and they love it. My kids are very number driven. I raised them that way. Right? Like it's,
Yeah.
if you're hitting at, if you're hitting at 60 miles an hour, how are you going to get to like 80? How are you going to get to 90 to 100?
That's amazing. And I know you're on point with their diet, and you were so passionate about making sure that they get the greens from the garden, and you were just so on point about everything, and to help them reach their goals. I think that's what it really comes down to. You do everything to reach their goals.
Yeah, they just show me what they're trying to accomplish, and I see the passion in it. I help them, whatever it is. I got a middle child that wanted to go vegetarian. What do I do before arriving back home from our holidays? I order boxes of vegetables and fruits to be delivered at our doorstep, so we don't have to rush doing groceries and ensure that he's not going to eat meat. That only lasted for 5 days, but
You
yeah.
supported that, and you did your best, and I think that's absolutely amazing.
But they support all my crazy ideas, right? Like they support me talking to the plants and me putting a pickleball court in my backyard. That's going to be my next project. I'm going to have my own pickleball court in my house.
I just had a showing on one of my listings, and they wanted to convert a whole pool area to a pickleball court, indoor pickleball. Isn't
I
that
need to
awesome?
meet these clients of
I
yours.
know. It's a crazy sport.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch gears. Do you remember a moment in your career where you were at your lowest? And what was that?
I think my lowest was, and it was just a short lowest, was during COVID because it was such an unknown. I mean, for everyone in general. But what hit me the most is the fact that we didn't know how to shift. I didn't think I shifted as quickly on the financial end of things. I was very property rich, cash poor. So when the tenants couldn't pay for the mortgages, I was stuck with major, massive monthly mortgage payments, and I had to keep paying them. And the tenants couldn't pay because they couldn't work and whatnot. So I wasn't financially prepared for such a big hit. So learning from that, I made sure that there's enough buffer just in case a situation like that happened again. And then, it took probably 2 to 3 weeks until we shifted with virtual listing appointments and virtual open houses. So we shifted quite a bit with that. I love change in general, but at the same time, it's just the unknown. I would have wanted to be more prepared. So I told myself, next time this ever happens, I will make sure that everything is in order and not rely on the rental income.
Yeah, and that's a
Right?
beautiful lesson too, to be prepared and have a plan B and C and do that. Because I do remember that time. I remember sitting there in my home office and not knowing what tomorrow holds, not
Yeah.
knowing if we're going to go and have a job, not knowing if we're going to be able to make an income. And I remember that. And there was a moment, and it was scary. It was really scary because it was so unknown. We had no idea which way it was going to go. And it turned out to be okay. And we moved on. And like you said, we shifted and we adjusted and we made things happen. But yeah, I remember that. So thanks for bringing that up.
Well, it was neat because I remember having a wine o'clock. At every 8 o'clock, I posted live on Facebook, and I was just sharing ideas on how we can survive through this.
Hmm.
Right. So then we would say, today I saved $50 a month by lowering my data plans, and I've called Telus and I've negotiated with them a different package with my internet. So then I was able to share that with different people online on how we can survive through this, because it's not so much of what you're earning but also your expenses,
Hmm.
right? So we were able to really be creative, and I secretly love COVID. So as much as that was my lowest point, I secretly loved it. I
Hmm.
baked for the first time. I felt like every corner of my house was spick and span clean. My kids were building plant boxes out of pallets. We would pick up free pallets all over, and we would give them a hammer, drill, and nails and screws, and they can build whatever they want. It was great.
Because you built your garden around then, right?
That's when I found out I have green thumb. I started planting. I
I
started
remember
talking to
that.
plants, and
Yeah.
I still talk to plants.
Isn't that amazing? So therapeutic.
It's so funny because there's times where my assistant would come in and work, and I'd be in the garden, I'd be weeding, I'd be talking to them. I love cross pollinating. She would tolerate that, and she would work beside me in the gazebo just to tolerate me talking to my plants.
That's
So
hilarious.
or when I'm having a busy day, she'll tell me, "Go make sure you talk to your plants today."
That is awesome. And that is one of those other things that you do to fill your cup.
Yes, yes, yes. I love growing them now from scratch. I used to be a cheater and buy the biggest seedlings or biggest vegetable pot. And it was you that said, you know, it's kind of neat starting them from scratch. So now I'm starting them small now. And last year I think I had like over 20 fruits and vegetables last year.
That is so awesome. That's incredible. And you all started them from seed.
Not all of them. I'd say, a good 30% of them.
That is so cool. You know that I still have the seed that you gave me. Well, now it's a plant. What was it? Calamansi, is it?
You
That
still have
I
that?
still have it. And the plants
Oh,
are, I mean, they could be better, but they're like a decent size and they're still going strong. Like it's amazing. So I think about you a lot because that was like what, 4.5 years ago?
that was a
They're
while
still,
back.
yeah, they're still going. So that's really cool.
They should start bearing in another year. In one more year,
Okay.
you should start seeing fruit.
I'll repot them and then see how big they get. So
Nice.
cool. Okay, back to real estate for buyers. Is there still opportunity out there with the interest rates a little bit on the higher side? Obviously, our prices are not necessarily the lowest. Is there still opportunity for people to get into the market as an investor and purchase multiple properties, possibly? What does that look like? In BC, on the coast, perhaps other sections of the coast. I know Surrey was really undervalued at one point. Is there still opportunities for that?
Sadly, even at 20% down, it depends on what you consider as opportunity. If you're looking for cash flowing at 20%, it just won't cash flow anymore, unfortunately. And if there is, people need to tell me if they see that because I'll buy myself.
That's
I
right.
haven't been able to find anything. By the time you add on strata fees and property tax and then home insurance, it doesn't cash flow. But if you remember, there's also reasons why to invest. So if you're okay not to cash flow, but bank on the fact that our equity grows so much faster out here on the coast, then it's okay too, right? So if you're okay accomplishing that because you have a tenant partially covering your expenses and also banking with the fact that our real estate grows anywhere from 4% to double digit per year, so that could work as well. So depending on what the client's tolerance level is. I
And
still
that's
have
really well said.
investors looking. I still have investors that I work with, and they're okay. They're just putting down 35% down, 30% down.
So more money down to be able to cover the mortgage, but not to expect a cash flow. And you're banking on the fact that real estate's going to go up in terms of value.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And what about pre-sales?
I was never a fan of pre-sales, but I've been in the last couple of years. I have three pre-sales coming up myself. I guess where I would see that is, for one, as a realtor selling pre-sales, I make sure my clients are approved now. So I never ever sell a pre-sale when they're banking on the fact that, oh yeah, I'll worry about it 2, 3 years down the road, unless they're expecting significant down payment or change in their income. Otherwise, if they're not approved now, it's probably least likely they're going to get approved in 2 to 3 years if they're not expecting a different income. I get a lot of calls from different clients, not initially my clients, but they bought pre-sale and then they're asking me to assign because they're not able to close,
I've had
right?
that
So
too. That's scary
it,
too because they're in a pinch. They have to sell that assignment because they're
yeah,
not able to complete on the property.
yeah. And knock on wood, lucky enough, all our clients who have purchased pre-sales, they're not in this situation. Or if they are, it's because there's a sudden change and they're aware of it. They were informed right from the beginning. So I can sleep at night knowing that there's no clients that cannot sleep because they cannot complete.
That's great advice.
I still like pre-sales though. I mean, I like pre-sales that are 3, 4 years out with very low down payment because then you have money sleeping in there right now. And just really know, you have to account flipping tax because some of the pre-sales that were purchased, there was no flipping tax yet. Right?
Good
So
point.
you have to really account the flipping tax. You got to know your capital gains, and you have to really align that with the income for that year. So there's a lot to consider, and I go through that with the clients. I'm like, are you sure you still want to buy a pre-sale?
Yes, yes, that's a good point. Absolutely. Do you have advice for any of the listeners that are looking to invest in property right now? Would you go pre-sales? Would you go high down payment? Like what would be some of the advice that you said, okay, I want to invest. what's the number one thing I need to do?
My advice is if they can be approved now, because we're still on an incline, right? We've hit our bottom and we're still on an incline. If they can get approved now, I would suggest buying now because, for example, a 7,000 place as a pre-sale, you'll get a condo.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas as a resale, that 700,000 could be already a townhouse. So in terms of income, rental income, you'd still get higher rent from a townhouse as opposed to a condo, right? But if they're not approved for whatever reason or they're waiting for extra funds, then investing in a resale for long-term completion might be beneficial. There's still no right or wrong. It really depends on their situation, their approval process, and also the cash on hand.
And that's good advice too, because if they don't have enough, then they can put some money, secure possibly a pre-sale, and then look into topping that up when they're ready to complete on it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like to be creative with my clients that trust me wholeheartedly. Sometimes I'll have them buy a property and then a pre-sale. Well, even though I know they're not going to get it approved, but I know how to stagger it accordingly. That by the time this pre-sale, completes, we're going to sell this property 3 months before, and then you'll transition into that pre-sale. So that I can do comfortably, right?
Beautiful.
But you have to know exactly when, approximately close enough when the pre-sale is going to complete and what the market is looking. So there's constant monitoring there.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes I go crazy and say, you know what, you have extra money anyway, let's get two pre-sales, and then we'll hedge it accordingly. We'll stagger the completion.
No,
I
brilliant.
get creative that way.
I love that. I love that. And that's the whole big approach because you have so much experience doing other things and you've been there, done that, right? You are an
I
investor.
still do it. I
Yes.
still do it. So I will not push for a pre-sale. Like I wouldn't, sometimes you'll see a lot of marketing on a particular pre-sale. It's because I already bought one in there. So that means I live and breathe it. I know black and white what they're offering, and it's a good buy.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Insurance. Now, this is something that's dear to my heart because I just feel that not enough, if any realtors are talking about it. And I know being an insurance advisor previously, you were adamant on this and you were on the same page. Let's talk about that very briefly. What advice do you give to your buyers when it comes to mortgage, life insurance that covers the mortgage, and getting your own life insurance? And how does that differ?
Well, any insurance in general is better than nothing. I make sure that the clients have some sort of coverage. A lot of the times when the clients get insurance, there's an option to get the mortgage insurance part of it. The difference with that is I always say, why don't you get a second opinion from a life insurance advisor, or we can provide a quote to you, because the difference with that is when you're getting the insurance from the bank, the beneficiary is the bank themselves. So if something happens to you, the entire mortgage is paid off from that insurance and it goes to the bank. So even though you say you paid down years into that mortgage insurance, let's say, for example, you bought a 5,000 mortgage where you have it, and then you pass away 10 years down the road where you already owe 400,000, you've been paying that exact same monthly payment to just have that 400,000 covered. If you get a life insurance, that 500,000 coverage will remain the same, even though your mortgage is paid down and your beneficiary is your family. So I'm a strong advocate of insuring. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's term insurance, whole life insurance, or universal insurance, it really doesn't matter. The key is you get the proper insurance that fits the family's requirement. I can get to the nitty gritty part of it in making sure that you also have the living benefits, right? To me, the living benefit just as important.
And what
right?
are the
Because
living benefits? Let's touch on that. Some people might not know.
living benefits would be critical illness, disability insurance, right? One of 3 Canadians would have experience with heart attacks and stroke. So we want to make sure that the family is covered just in case you have a stroke and you're not able to continue working and providing for the family. Not many families can afford those extra expenses, but a good coverage, speaking with proper financial advisor, proper planning should be able to, I want the family to feel that, if I die tomorrow, my family is going to be taken care of. And not everybody can say that comfortably.
Yeah. And that's really well said. And even for me, because we don't have children, and not that I would expect them to take care of me, but long-term disability, that was big for me, right? Just to make sure, whenever that it's a pay 20, I'm going to pay it off in 20 years. We only get older and having that plan. So it's again, moving it forward, thinking about ahead, paying it now and making sure that you're covered in all ways. So life insurance, living benefits, and all of those things, right?
And I mean, there's so much, right? I mean, obviously there's RESP as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if I didn't invest in RSPs, I would have coughed up a lot out of pocket for our eldest child. Even though he's on a scholarship, there are still quite a bit of expenses involved. So RESP is great to take advantage of the government grants, and
Mm-hmm.
then obviously there's the TFSA and RESP, RSP, and a lot of other things that really, I think a good sit down with a client, we can touch a lot of that stuff, and then I direct them to a team of the advisors that I work with and the mortgage brokers to really provide a full package advice to the client.
I love that because it isn't about just, oh, here's real estate. It's about the holistic approach. It's about a little bit of everything because money is important and it's important where we
Mm-hmm.
put it and how we protect our investments and our homes and our families. So I love that. And I love that you have that holistic approach.
Yeah, and I work with their advisors too. Sometimes they'll say, you know what, I have an advisor that I work with, and you know what, get me in touch with them just to make sure we're on the same page, or have me talk to your mortgage advisor or your lender just to make sure that what they're communicating with you, what they're providing you, is in line with what we just discussed. There's no hard feelings when they choose to deal with other professionals. It's just that at least they can have a second opinion from me, and then I can partner up with whoever they're working.
And that's a great way to look at it. Well, Mylyne, I have taken so much of your time and I so appreciate it. I truly think you are like superwoman and I so appreciate you making time for us and letting us know about your experiences and giving so much knowledge. Just a really quick question before we go. For realtors that are getting into the business, what is one piece of advice you can give them, except don't do it?
You took the advice I was going to give you.
I thought so.
Well, actually, I add to that. When somebody asks me if they're considering the business, I do tell them, don't do it. Or you go all in or nothing at all. Right? It's not a 1 year commitment. It's not a short-term commitment. Do it because you want to make a difference in people's lives. Do it because this is your calling and you really want to do above and beyond. No average, no quick deals. Is really what is gonna provide the service from your heart. And then you'll be successful. Money will come secondary. Be purposeful. Know what target market you'll have, and and really the expertise, the focus. Right? Don't come in with this big idea and then not break it down on how to get there.
So basically have a plan and just run with it and do your best and put everything you got into it. That's amazing. I see
Yeah.
that you've been doing that and you've been putting everything, your whole heart into everything from your family to your friends to your career. And I applaud that. And thank you so much for being here, Mylyne. I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. It's all or nothing.
I love it.